Okay, this is going to be part 2 in my series on working with the command line, and I'm going to talk about the tools that I have listed here. I'm also going to note that most of these tools can be used in many different ways, and in a short video I'm only going to be able to briefly introduce each of these things. So with that, I'm going to jump right into our session in Terminal. Okay, so once again I'm working with the Bash terminal on Mac OS. I'm sort of picking up from where I left off in the first video in this series. So the first thing I'm going to show you is a command called curl. Before I show you that, I am going to show you the man command. Alright, so I'm going to write man and then curl, and what we're going to get is the manual page for curl. Alright, and pretty much all of the built-in tools that come with Bash are going to have a manual page. Alright, so this is going to explain what the curl tool does, and what it does is it transfers data from a URL. So I go online, I download something. Now I can download just about anything. We're going to use it to download some stock history and a book. To move through the manual, what you're going to do is sort of hit the space bar, and the space bar will just move you through page by page. I can also just use the down arrow. Alright, to get out of the manual, I'm going to hit Q. Alright, so now that we know what curl does, I'm going to go ahead and use it. And you can just sort of type curl. You can start typing the URL that you want to download from. Okay, now I don't exactly know the URL to go and get the stock data right off the top of my head. So what I did was I went out and got that. And I stored it in the file called apple.txt up here. So we're going to download some historical data from Apple. And I'm going to do that by using the -K switch, and then I give it the file name that I want to use to download. Alright, so we either just directly type in a URL, or we can store one in a file like so, and when I do it, it downloads it. And this is all of the data for, the first page of historical prices for Apple at the moment. Alright, not so useful on the screen like this, so what I'm going to do is run it one more time, and this time I'm going to send the results into a new file. Okay, when I do that, I get a progress meter, and let's see if it ended up in that file. We now have this apple.html. Okay, so before I move on, I'm going to use curl one more time, and this time I'm going to get the Moby text file, and I'm going to send the results immediately into a file that I'll call Moby Dick. Alright, so, whoops, if I spell it right. Alright, so you can probably guess that I'm going to be downloading the book Moby Dick. Alright, and I am doing that. I'm getting it from the Gutenberg project. Alright, it takes a little bit longer. There's quite a bit more data there, but it still happens pretty quickly. Okay, one more thing I want to sort of know before I said there was man curl. Alright, there's also a couple other options in case whatever the tool you're working with doesn't have a manual. There's help. Okay, and if I help curl, I should get something. Alright, but okay, curl doesn't have a help page. Alright, but it does have a manual page, so that's nice. Alright, there's one more option we can try, and that's info. Alright, so I'll see if there's anything for info, and there is something for info, and again it says, okay, here's the curl manual. So again, to get out of this, I just hit Q. Okay, the next tool I'm going to use is something called WC. I'll go ahead and WC. Let's see how many words are actually in that Moby Dick. So when I use WC, the results are the number of lines first, alright, the number of words second, and then the number of characters. Alright, so 22,333 lines, 215,000 words, alright, and then 1.27 million characters. Alright, so a pretty long book. Okay, if you just want to get the number of words in the book, we can use the switch -W. Okay, so again, we get just the words then. Alright, so there's -W, -L, and -C that you can use for word count. Alright, so moving along, I want to get a listing of our directory again, and I'm going to be working with this file, cars.csv, to show you the next couple of tools. First of all, let's see what's in there. So I'm going to use cat to get cars.csv up on the screen, and we can see, okay, it's a list of cars in there. Alright, maybe around 40 or so, 50 listing of cars. They look to be German, and I'm going to use that to show you a couple other tools. All right, one of those tools is called the sort tool. So if I sort cars.csv, okay, I get, as you might expect, a sorted list of the lines in that file. Suppose we just want to know how many different kinds of German cars are in this file. To use the next tool, uniq, I'm first going to have to sort the file, all right, and then I'm going to do what's called piping. I'm going to pipe the results of sort into this other tool called uniq, and when I run that, it first sorts, and then it sends those results into uniq, and uniq tells us there are 5 different kinds of cars in our file. What if we want to know how many times each car appears? So I'm going to use the up arrow there, and I'm going to use the -C switch, and that will tell us that, okay, Audi appeared 9 times, BMW 12, and so forth. If we want to get this presented in descending order, we can sort it numerically, but to do that I'm going to have to pipe the results of uniq back into sort. I'm going to have to tell it to do it numerically, and then since we want the highest one on top, I'll do it in reverse. I'm going to move on now. Let me clear the screen here. I'll get our directory listing back. A lot of times what you want to do is take the results of something you've done in the command line and send it into another file. So for example, if I want to take cars.csv and send it to a new file, okay, I can use the greater than sign to do that. But to get the contents to display on the screen, I'm going to use content command. The greater than sign says, okay, override or redirect. Instead of sending it to the standard output, which is the screen, we're going to send it into this file called cars2. Okay, and then if we display those results, okay, we get the same file. What if I want to, instead of just sending it into cars, all right, I want to sort it first. We can stack up the commands by using the pipe, and let's see what happens when I do that. Okay, it looks like it worked. I didn't get an error. Let's see what happened. Okay, so when we do it, we actually get, okay, the contents that were there get replaced, all right, by sorted contents. What if that's not what you wanted to happen? What if you wanted to add the sorted results to the existing file? What we'll do is use 2 greater than signs, and that tells the terminal to append the results of cat into cars2.csv. Okay, so when I do that, we can see that, okay, not only do we have the sorted list, we have the unsorted list too. Okay, so you have to kind of be careful when you are redirecting output into a file, that if you don't necessarily want to overwrite, you have to use the 2 greater than signs. Alright, so moving on to our next tool, what if you just want to display some of the lines in a file? You don't need the whole thing to the screen. You can use the head command to do that. And so if I do head cars2, what it does is gives me the first 10 lines. If you only want to see the first 5 lines, right, you can put the switch -n and then 5, and then you get the first 5 lines. All right. There's a companion tool called tail. All right. Again, by default, it shows you 10, the last 10. Alright, and if we want to see the last 5, it's like that. Okay, so next tool I'm going to show you is what's called history. And what happens, what I've been doing if I want to repeat a command, is just use the up arrow. By default, the terminal keeps track of your last 500 commands. Alright, and this is kind of nice because if you want to rerun one of these commands, I can use the exclamation point, and then I can indicate the command number that I want to rerun. So I'm going to rerun 490, all right, and now I've just appended, again, whatever was in cars into cars2. Okay, the last tool I'm going to show you is called Grep, and let's just take a quick look at the manual page for Grep. And this is probably not doing Grep much justice. All right, I'm going to show you a couple of quick examples of using it. But basically, it stands for General Regular Expression. All right, and it basically matches patterns, whatever patterns you're looking for. Right, there's lots of different options, and in fact, there's whole books written just on this one tool. All right, very powerful tool. So we're going to go ahead and just show you how to use it briefly. So if I want to find all the Audis in Cars 2, okay, I just call grep, the pattern I'm looking for, and then in the file, and somehow it looks like this one, this is an Audi Porsche. Alright, so I don't know what happened there, but it got appended like that. If we want to know how many times, say, Audi appears in Cars 2, alright, I can pass the results of the grep into word count and then get the number of lines, and we see that, okay, it showed up 27 lines. Alright, let's see another quick example. What if I grep the word the? Alright, you might guess I'm going to get this from the mobydick.txt. Okay, and when I do this, I get quite a bit more than what I expect. So what it's doing is finding every line where the word the has appeared. Alright, it's returning the whole line. Okay, not exactly what I want, but I could still go ahead and grep the results of this into word count minus L and see that, okay, it looks like it appears in 119 different lines in there. Alright, doesn't mean that it couldn't appear more than once in a line, so that's kind of a problem. Alright, so how do we get around this and just get the returned? We have to know a couple options, alright, and the options I'm going to use are minus O lowercase and E uppercase. When I do that, we can see that, oh, okay, it appears actually 129 times. And let me do it one more time without piping it into the word count, so you can see that it is actually now just finding the word the by itself. Alright, so I'm going to show one more example of grep. It's kind of an extended example. It shows you a little bit of the power of regular expressions. Okay. And the first thing I'm going to do is cat Moby Dick to the screen. Okay, it's very long. If I do this, let's just do this, you can see, okay, that's what it looks like. And I would have to sort of get up to the top, alright, if I wanted to, I guess, start reading the book. Alright, so I don't actually want to do that, but I want to take the results of that and I want to pass them into or pipe them into this other command that we haven't talked about called translate. And translate is used to sort of find and replace characters or words in text. Alright, so what we're going to do is, with a regular expression here, I'm going to find anything in uppercase, okay, so the character class upper. You actually have to surround this in quotation marks, single quotes. I'm going to translate those into lower. Okay, so we're going to take any word that's capitalized and we're going to put it in lowercase. So eventually what I'm going to do is count the most commonly occurring words in this book and then display the top 10 of them to the screen. So once we've looked at Moby Dick, we've translated everything from upper into lower. I'm going to pass the results into grep minus OE, and instead of looking for a specific word, I'm going to use the regular expression W plus to find just words, any words. Okay, so that's the regular expression to find a word. Once I've done that, I'm going to sort the words. Once I do that, I'm going to pass the results into uniq with the counts. And once I do that, I'm going to sort it one more time numerically and in reverse order, and then I'm going to use the head and get the top 10. Okay, so let's see if our big long command works. There it is. So I hope that helps with a little more detail on working with the command line.